sacred, magical love. Today is Halloween, but this is a timeless message for whenever you see this video. Now, I pulled from the Keepers of the Light deck, and so this is for people who are going through a really hard time, like that tells me already. And so this is a reminder to always choose to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Always choose to believe that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. All right, because it can't be there. You can't manifest it into a reality if you don't believe that it's there in the first place. So there's deep attention being called to limiting beliefs and to be careful in which the spells, our words are spells, the spells that we speak about ourselves in our lives, and how making sure that we're not defining ourselves or other people or reality in limiting beliefs. Right, because yeah, like it doesn't mean that anything is possible, right? It's like, but even if it's not possible, even if you can't control it, right, it doesn't mean that you don't deserve it, or right, it's just a redirection. Rejection is redirection. So let's see, you have Mother Mary, love and peace, let go of the need to be right, choose peace, mother healing is possible at this time. Yeah, so the need to focus on healing, the need to focus on the light. That's why I was talking about the light at the end of the tunnel, right? Because it's like hope for healing, hope for a brighter future. It's like right now you're really down in the dumps, and that is valid, of course, it's always valid, right? But they want you to remember that this too shall pass. This too shall pass. It will always pass. Even the light, even like, the best and happiest moments of your life, right? Nothing lasts forever. And that's why we have to find the beauty in all of it. And that's when we're in true balance and we're in true love, when we're able to see the beauty in the light and the dark, right? So right now we're getting a little bit lost in the dark, and we need to remind the darkness that it is love that has forgotten it is light. Yes, quote by Tara Arnold. She is awesome. Anyways, Mother Mary, yes, so like, because we're dealing with so much darkness right now, we're in such a tough time. The shadow self, the ego is coming up, and the ego wants to be right, the ego wants to be validated, because you're not validating yourself, because you're telling yourself, like, right, your negative self-talk is what I'm getting. It's like you're catastrophizing, fulfilling self-prophecies by catastrophizing, right? The spells that we say, right, you fulfill them because you really believe them, right? And so like the beliefs, that's why it's so important, because the things that you believe are going to form and shape the actions that you take, and those actions are going to form and shape the reality that you live in, right? So it's like, let's heal the ego, not demonize the ego, right? It's a time for healing right now. So that means to embrace the darkness and the light, right? Not surrender to the darkness and think that that's all that exists, right? And give up, right? Like, no, we understand that it's trying to teach us something, right? We understand that it's trying to just bring our attention to what needs to be healed. So, right, embrace the darkness and the light, right? Yes, by letting go of the ego, right? So that's the point right now. Letting go of the ego, the need to be right. So it's like staying silent is what I'm getting as well. Not getting into so much arguments during this time, like the need to prove that. It's like, that's what it's, that, yeah. Stop looking outwards for validation, especially because we're feeling so low, that this is the time where you especially look outside of ourselves for validation and acknowledgement, right? But it's just, we need to, not like it's just we need to, but it's like I was saying, with like, you need to choose to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, you need to choose to be there for yourself. You need to choose. It's because when we look outside of ourselves, it's because subconsciously we're making the choice and the decision that our own validation is not good enough, and we're subconsciously putting other people's validation above our own, right? So we need to choose to like create our own validation, create our own light at the end of the tunnel, we need to choose to give it to ourselves and to value our own opinion and feelings, acknowledgement over somebody else's. Right, because that's what happens when your ego is, acting out, right, and like throwing a tantrum and like wanting to be right, it wants to be heard, right, because you don't feel like they're hearing you, and you're worried that because they're not hearing you, maybe you're not right, so you need to prove it, and you need them to tell you that you're right, so then you would know that, like, yeah, you are right, and it's like reminding you that you don't need any of that. You just need to get it straight from the source, and like make yourself the source, right? Make yourself your own source of fulfillment, of joy, of validation, of healing, right? Look in the mirror and talk to yourself, and say to yourself exactly what it is that you're searching for that other person to say. When you're fighting to be right and you're fighting to be heard, it's like you want that other person to like validate you and say something right in a specific way. So like ask yourself, what is it that you want to hear from them, and then say it to yourself. Look in the mirror and say it to yourself, right? It's like that's going to be very healing for you, right? So focus on healing, right? And that means staying a little bit more silent, keeping things to yourself, not having to prove yourself, right? Not having to show people like your efforts and your plans and like how you're moving. I feel like that's a big thing too, because I've made this mistake just the other day, right? Like I felt like that I felt obligated to just show up because I was invited, and I was feeling terrible, I was having a horrible day, but I showed up anyway late, and I pretended that I was okay, and she was asking me about my life, and I'm just saying whatever I think is gonna sound good, and like not poke too much any questions or details, because I didn't want to get into it, and I didn't want to get into how I'm not feeling so good, right? And what that is about, and so of course, she just gave her advice, and when I didn't ask for it, and I just really and like I couldn't help, but I couldn't really hide how hurt I was, and she could tell, and she asked what I was feeling, and then I was like thinking of what to say, not knowing, not wanting to share everything. So I just like, there was like this long period of silence, and it was like so awkward, and I was like worried that that whole experience could have like ruined our friendship, or just yeah, it made the situation a lot more stressful than it should have been. It strained a relationship that I wish that it didn't, and it's not that big of a deal. But the point is that like I knew I wasn't in a good place, and I invited and I opened myself up to like her opinion, an outsider's opinion, when I knew I was in a vulnerable state, and right, and like of course I couldn't help but let it affect me because I'm feeling so low. And then what does that do? It makes me spiral, take a few steps backwards, and I'm not as motivated and moving forward as quickly as I would have if that didn't happen, with my goals and plans and dreams. And so like that's why it's like, what I'm saying is it's important to try to keep that to yourself, and especially when you know that you're not in a good place and you're feeling very vulnerable, don't share so much of your hopes and dreams and plans, because it's like just a way to protect your energy and your own peace, so that you're not opening yourself up to being influenced by other people when you know that your own energy is a little bit like not solid right now. And that's it doesn't mean that you're weak, right? It's perfectly fine and natural when you're going through a dark time. It just means this is a sign to turn within. It's more of a sign like it's important to heal from within. Okay, yeah, so I think that's today's message, guys. It's just the shadow self Halloween is here, and the shadows are coming out, and it's time for them to heal. It's time for them to heal. It's time to look at them, and choose to love them anyway, right? Love and peace is to look at the shadows and to choose to love it anyway. And that's healing, in and of itself. So be wary of making decisions from the ego, and just try to take a step back, have self-reflection, and have that discernment of whether you're making decisions from the ego or if you're choosing true love and peace, right? And following your heart, your joy, following the light at the end of the tunnel. So that's what it basically means, following your joy, right? And when you follow your ego, you're not really following your joy, you're following your head and what's logical and what feels like, yeah. So that's what I really think the core of this message is all about. It's just about following your heart, and choosing to love even the darkest parts of ourselves, to make peace with it. That's how we begin to heal it. Ashe, embrace your shadows just as much as you embrace the light. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Have a beautiful rest of your day. A magic-filled rest of your day.